Welcome to the world of duel monsters.
Hey, what's good, MetaFam? MetaBro Max here. So today I'm going to be showcasing my updated Swordsoul Deck Profile, ready for the YCS events, and this is my solidified profile. Ever since I got my droplets, I'm ready to go and ready to go compete. Woo! And let's jump into the deck profile, guys. Here we go. I'm going to start off with the monsters. So we're running 2 Ecclesia, Incredible Ecclesia, the Virtuous. So the reason for running 2, I'll get down into the deck profile, but it all came down to ratios. And I like to be a player that keeps my deck to 40 cards, so I really have to mess with my ratios. But I think she's great at 2. I'm always going, first, Swordsoul players. But yeah, I think at 2 she's great. So next we got 2 Tenyi. 2 Tenyi is, I think, the solid number I've seen across the board in many profiles for people I've, studied and coming up with my own ratios. And, he does the awesome effect of, banishing for cost to get a token. And what's cool about him is when they imperm you or something, you can still attempt to activate effect to banish for cost. You banish your trap, get your token, and you keep playing. And then next we got the mandatory Swordsoul of the Moye. So this is the card I always want to reach for. I always want to start with this one, Sometimes, it gets weird and I go with the Tenyi, but for the most part, you want to play this one. Next, we got the Strategist, Long Yuan. Standard 3, be a disservice, to run it any less, but yeah, it's awesome. You pitch different kinds of things that give the deck synergy, like some Tenyis or, even your trap card if you have it in hand, but, it helps out a lot. Next, we got the 1 rare Vishuddha and the 2 supers. This is the best Tenyi out of all of them, in my opinion, and the only one I play in my deck because I'm opting to play the Prosperity build. But yeah, it just gets over a lot of problematic cards in the format, like, you get over the Winda, or, different floodgates or back rows that, could potentially harm you. But, and it saves you, one of your, negates could work as a bait as well. But yeah, I run it at 3. You just want to see it. Next, we run the hand traps. So we got the 3 Ash. No matter what people say about the card, I still think it's great. I think it's a good card and something that I want to see in my hand, whether I go first or second, because I'm opting out to play a lot of hand traps just in case I lose the dice roll. So next we got 2 Effect Veiler. 2 Effect Veiler, I think I chose to drop the ratio on this one due to the fact that it's like just on your opponent's main phase, and it just kind of really hurts when your opponent does something to battle phase or any other time, other than the main phase. But it's still a good card, you just target anything, but 2 is okay for me. Next, 2 Nibiru. Shout out to M. Cole for this next school of thought that I agreed behind. Originally I was running it to 3, but I dropped it to 2 due to the droplets. But I main it because I would rather see this game 1 than sided in game 2, just for the problematic decks out there. Phantom Knight, Mimi Nando's doesn't have really Drytron, haven't really seen it, but just those combo decks that really go off. So 2 in my main deck, and just side it out game 2 when you don't need it, And then next, we got the last 2 monsters. So we got the Dasher and the Celestial, because I am running the DPE package. I went through so many versions of this deck and changing ratios. For the longest time I was running the Tenyi with Desires, but in the end I was like, no, Destroy Phoenix Enforcer is just too good. I opted to run it, and in simplified game states, the card is just amazing. It disrupts your opponent, plus a lot of the negates you got going on. It's sometimes close to impossible for your opponent to even break the board. Next, we'll go with the spells, and I run the 1 Sacred Summit. It's the monster born of the deck, and it just comes in really handy with raising the ceiling when you get a really good hand when you get your optimal hand, you just reach in for this and you end the board with 3 synchros and the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. It's really great. I can show you guys the board after. Next, we do the 3 Emergence. It's going to be the Rhoda for the Sword Souls. So this one's really cool. You know, you just, again, it gets you your starter or the piece you're missing for your hand. It just fixes your hands. So always at 3. Next, we got the 2 Droplet. Oh boy, what can I say? This card is just the nuts, guys, you know. Its price tag is deserved and just does a lot of interactions for me in my deck personally. And I love to just throw away my Imperial Order when I don't need it anymore for my Droplet. But yeah, I'll show you guys. Next, we got the awesome 3 Fusion Destiny. Man, this card is just the extender, you know. This is it. This is what's hot right now, guys. Have to run it, right? DP number 1. And the last spell is going to be the Prosperity. Prosperity at 3. This card is here to reach for Fusion Destiny. So this is basically 3 more Fusion Destinies for me. When I don't get the Fusion Destiny, I reach in for any other piece that I may be missing, you know, or the Vishuddha or whatever. But card's amazing. I love it. And then our traps, 3 and Perm. So another one of my hand traps. I chose to keep this one at 3 because it's just, I don't know, the versatility with it, using it first or second. It targets, you know, it's not like Ash, so I value it over Valor. But yeah, it's really good for even when you lose the dice roll, you go second, like I said, and you just hit them with a few interruptions. And most decks can't get past like 2 hand traps, so you just go back to turn 3 and, you know, build your board. We run the 2 Blackouts. I think this is pretty standard. You know, you reach for one and you banish one. Sometimes you don't even have to use the token from banishing it to use the Blackout. You can use your Monk of the Tenyi, you know, if you got your Vishuddha. So it's another one of the interruptions the deck has, and really, really good. So keep it at 2. Last one, Imperial Order. Boy, oh boy. This card, you know, kind of just makes people auto-lose sometimes. I think it's really necessary. I know I play a lot of spells, but it doesn't matter. I just establish my board and, you know, monkey flip it and just steal some games. When I don't need it anymore, I get rid of it with my, you know, Forbidden Droplet. But yeah, no, if you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't, you know. And then game 2, just side it out. You don't need your trap cards. But yeah, that rounds out the deck at 40 cards. So that's the main deck. Let's move on to the extra deck. My favorite boss monster of them all, Baron DeFleur, Peter DeFleur, as my friends like to say. And you know, the Omni Negate, the level 10 you make with the Strategist. Your standard board is always the Baron DeFleur, and the next synchro is the Chi Shao. You're gonna run the Chi Shao at 2. And this is always a standard board. You see these 2 8s and maybe like a few hand traps, you know, maybe the Blackout, but you know, they're your best friends. And then we move on to the 1 Dragite. Dragite's the Spell and Trap Negate, and this is the one that you mainly often go for when you raise the ceiling with the Sacred Summit. You're able to make 3 synchros, and then your DPE if you're able to, you know, fetch it from your deck. So next we got a lot of utility in here. So we got the Supreme Sovereign. We like to team him up with the Draco Berserker, and these 2 cards are awesome. They just like a lot of interruptions mixed into one. And this guy banishes one when monster effect is activated, and he gets really big. He gets really big from banished cards. You know, every time a card is banished, can banish one from your opponent's field and from their graveyard. So them alone can interrupt your opponent just so you can push for game, you know, on your next turn. And next we got the Baxia and the Yazi. It's just really good worm synchros, you know, like this guy's awesome when you make him with Taie, you just get 2 spins. And then the Yazi, you know, level manipulate with the summit, and you get a non-target. Oh no, it is a targeting destruction, but you get the special summon as well. So you do some neat things with them, and you find every situation's got a synchro solution, and that's what I love about the deck. It's like a synchro toolbox. So next we got the Rudy Rose, and Rudy Rose is I don't know. It's one of the ones I don't make as much, but I've seen play with him. Like, I mean, he's a 32 level 10. Sometimes I've committed to banishing everything from both graveyards, and it's won me games. Sometimes I've been over to get over Dragoon when just because of him. But yeah, that's all I can really say. He's a big body and has a cool effect of banishing everything from both graveyards. Next, we got the Shen. I play the Virtual World Shen because it's really good against specific matchups. If you sit on this and maybe the floor and the Chi Shao, and it's pretty deadly. I think it's more of a game 2 or 3 card when you know exactly what your opponent is playing. Otherwise, you want to just make your full negate board, and at least the way I like to play. Next, we have let's do our Xyz. We got the one Baguska, and this card's been seeing a lot more play. Really, really, really good. You want to stall, or you put them in attack mode, or in defense mode. Put all the monsters into defense mode and negate their effects, or he can't be destroyed when he's in attack mode. When you attack with him, you mostly want to just put that on top of them. These cards are mainly in here for utility if you happen to see the niche scenario that they might come up in, but otherwise, there are some of my targets that I opt out for to banish for prosperity. And then my links, we got the one Monk of the Tenyi for the Vishudas. You special the Vishuda, make the Monk, and then you're able to, if Vishuda's effect becomes live because he's a non-effect monster. I mean, it's also live with a token, but this guy's always here, and you can tribute him off for the blackout because he's a worm. So there's always that. Then we got the Predaplant for the utility. He's here just in case you get pushed against the wall, and you got 2 monsters. At least you can make your DPE if you don't have your Fusion Destiny. So it's mainly there just for that. And our last one, star of the show, Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. Man, what a beautiful card. Just recycles itself. It just keeps coming back. It's good, and I know people could just stop it. There's a lot of windows it has where it can be stopped, but it's too attractive to not stop it. Like, your opponent's gonna throw something at it, and then you just have the rest of your resources to play with. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's gonna round out my extra deck at 15. And let's move on with the side deck. So we got the Beer Token. And it's a lot of 3-ups, guys. So game 2 or 3, Cosmic Cyclone, depending on the matchup. Or the Imperial Order because it's a quick play, or cards you don't want to see in the grave like Schism, stuff like that. And I run 6 spells in my side. So then we got the Dark Ruler no more because you always want to side it in game 2. To break your opponent's boards because it's so hard to build a board when your opponent has something established. There was a while where I thought about maining this, instead of siding it. That way, if I lost a dice roll, it's always there. But I found that the hand traps are a little more useful, and they kind of just do the same effect for me. So yeah, I chose to side them instead of maining them. I know some people were maining them. And then the other board wipe for my trap cards, Evenly Matched. This guy just puts in work, man. It does so much work. Yeah, it's won me games. So yeah, these 2 cards, you always want to see them, game 2, and you just side them out game 3 when you go first again. Anti-Spell Fragrance. Disgusting against specific decks. I mainly see it game 3. I sided in. I usually win game 1. Game 2, I have to, I'll lose it usually because I'm going second, or I didn't draw into my board wipes. And then game 3, this usually helps me win the game. So it's really good because, spells are always live. Everyone's always playing spells, usually, most of the meta decks, so it comes in handy. And then last but not least, Dimensional Barrier. So I chose not to run Token Collector or stuff like that against the mirror. I think D-Barrier does the job for me. You know, it's just really good. Just call Synchro, and you know, most of them just pass, to be honest. There's not much they can do unless they go into a Baguska or, you know, something like that. But this lineup of cards really does the job for me, side deck wise, and I'm very comfortable siding. I use a lot of it, you know, 95% of the side deck every game. So yeah, that about rounds out the deck. That's 15 for the side deck. And that was my Swordsoul deck, guys. I hope you guys liked it and me taking over the channel. I know you guys always see MetaBro Jake here, but I just had to hack the channel for my deck profile that I'm eager to take to the YCS. Before I go, I have a few shout outs. Of course, I always want to shout out my team, the MetaBros. Always got my back. Want to shout out Pow Manga, always. Hope you guys are doing good. And I want to shout out, well, I mean, you know, Konami and Yu-Gi-Oh! But also, I want to remind you guys to hit the notification bell to get more of this MetaBro action. You know, maybe catch some of the other MetaBros in the other videos, and also hit the subscribe button, please, guys. Beat it down. We really want to hit those numbers, and we were hitting the road to 2K already. We're already thinking about our bigger, better goals. But till next time, guys, peace out.